Hi everybody, it's video 6, halfway through. I was awake all night last night reflecting on how this video series is going to keep moving forward, and I think the topic that I have for today might need 2 parts. Otherwise it'll be a long video, and I'd like to keep them a little bit more shorter. Yesterday was longer because I had to share more of a deeper insight into my journey. And so today I want to talk about love. The triggers from love relationships. And I'm going to start that with a story from something I learned years and years ago. I used to train with a movement master, a spiritual master, in an art called martial dance. And martial dance incorporated Feldenkrais technique, Aikido, Tai Chi, and contact improv. So every class we start with touching hands. Right? So that's the starting point. You're always dancing with a partner and without music. And this form of movement therapy, dance, was all about building relationship with self and other without trying to take over the other and without abandoning self. So it was incredible. I was always like red like a tomato. I just loved every class. I studied with my teacher for close to 11 years in Israel, Germany, and Canada and Toronto. And so this is called the point of entry. And I'm always reflecting, and the point of entry, this directs how the movement, how the dance, how the creation is going to move forward, how we're going to move together, right? And so that initial moment of connecting, that defines the dance. It sets the tone. And when I reflected deeper on this concept of point of entry, every single moment we're alive, we're at a point of entry with our thinking, with our emotions. How am I meeting this moment? What part of me is meeting this moment? Am I meeting this moment with my fear and my anxiety, with intolerance, with expectation, with judgment, with frustration? And if I'm meeting life, the moments with that, well, I can be sure that the dance is not going to be smooth, right? If I am trying to control, because all of those emotions, there are ways that our survival self is trying to control an outcome. And to understand that is really key. We're each sovereign souls with our own curriculum. And like I said in the Ho'oponopono video, we're here to meet at intersections in love and growth. We're not here to tell each other who the other should be. And this is something that happens in relationship too often. We trespass each other's sovereignty. So the point of entry, when we're encountering each other to go into a relationship, it's the romantic love, it's the honeymoon. And we are our true self in that moment. We're like the child self, the pureness and the beauty and the joy. But if we don't have the awareness that that will pass, because we all have stuff. And the only force in the universe to bring our stuff to the surface is love. Casual friendships won't do it. Only intimate relationships bring up our deeper rooted traumas, avoidances, pains, and we mirror each other. So when we meet, we're mirroring both our higher selves and our lower selves, so to speak. But when we meet in the honeymoon stage, we think that that's got to be how it always is. And I have a saying that I've said for years. I say the honeymoon that phase is the preview of coming attractions. When we survive the landmines of each of our subconscious stories and triggers that will inevitably come up, because for love to exist in our body, it has to clear out everything that's not love. And so our point of entry of a relationship, even friendship, even jobs, you can apply this anywhere. But right now I want to talk about the love and relationship. If my point of entry is you have to complete me, or I need you to be a certain way for me to feel safe. And okay, I get it. Yeah, we need to have that, that balance. But if that demand becomes domination, And that can happen so quickly when we've had trauma and it's unconscious, we don't see it. Happened to me. I never would have thought I was dominant because I always only saw myself as my heart and everything. But then I became aware, whoa, when I'm afraid, that's when my inner narcissist comes out, where I make everything only about me. And then I think the other person has to change in order for me to feel safe. And granted, okay, we need to communicate, like with my husband, if he did something to trigger me. And, I would say to him, okay, this is really hitting me in this place. And can you maybe be a bit more careful? Because I can feel I'm vulnerable there. And I just need some time. This has been activated. And I don't yet have the insight to understand it. But I'm going to ask you, can you please just be gentle? Like as if I had a broken arm, be gentle with that arm. And I'm going to do my inner work and I'm going to find it, and vice versa. He does the same. And because we both do this, 11 years together now, we're still together. And we had so many moments to break apart. Oh my gosh, so many. Where both of us would forget this, you don't understand me, or you're not fulfilling my needs, or whatever, right? But fortunately, we both, when we entered the relationship, we had a basic understanding of that reality. And so therefore we have been able to grow and evolve as individuals with each other, and also as, partners. And that connection is like a third party. It's like the child, like our relationship, the energy we generate with each other is like a child, right? And so we want to nourish that child. We want to support that love that brought us together to keep growing. And the thing is once the triggers start happening and we get into defense, we get into self-preservation, we get into accusation, communicating through accusation versus communicating through I statements. Instead of saying, well, you do this, like, okay, I feel this when. So there's different ways of communicating. And so if we don't communicate effectively and we go into the defense and we go into our limbic brain survival, what happens is we stop being vulnerable. And love to thrive needs vulnerability. There's no love without vulnerability. And so that's why when we enter a relationship, it's really important to have the awareness, okay, this is our true essence. We're meeting with each other and it's beautiful and we match. And we have to understand and have the awareness, but we both have an underbelly. We both have hidden stuff that we don't even know we're hiding sometimes. Old traumas, childhood traumas, we don't even know until they arise in an intimate relationship. They won't arise in just casual friendships. It's mildly. It's in the intimate relationships. That's the work of the soul. So to understand, relationships are about working our soul, coming home to ourself through the mirroring that we each give each other of both our light and our shadow. So the point of entry, when I'm entering a relationship with that understanding, the movements, they can flow. I can move. I can expand. We can work together. We can find that way, right, to move in harmony with each other. And this dance that we did, it was all about learning how to listen to self, align self, each of us, and then listen to the movement created through that connection. So nobody is leading. It's kind of like our teacher used the metaphor like the birds, migratory birds, or animals, or ponds of fish. There's a morphogenetic field, and nobody's really leading, but they're following the cue of something. And so in this dance, we would follow the cue. We'd get still within ourselves, drop our ideas of what the dance should be, and then we just encounter each other. And sometimes it would be a tender dance, sometimes like, whoop, we're throwing each other down and it's dynamic and fiery, and that's what made it so beautiful, because each dance was different, and each person you danced with, it was a completely different creation, a different baby, basically, right? So trigger points in love, right? God, I've had so much heartbreak. I've had so many, times where I was like, why did they leave? Or why aren't they this? Or why aren't they that? And ultimately, one of the biggest lessons I've learned from my moments of heartbreak, where I turned the triggers into self-awareness, is I realized that our relationships are really about us meeting us. What the person brings out in us. And when there has been separations of somebody, say, who brought out, I awoke my joy or awoke a quality in me, and I realized that, well, that quality is in me. And they were a catalyst. They showed me that part. The exchange of our energy brought that to the surface to see that, oh, wow, I can feel that. But the moment I'm attaching that feeling to that person, that I can only have that feeling with that person, that's when we get entangled and that's when we get lost. And our point of entry is, it goes into chaos and we spiral. So when we go into a relationship, the point of entry is, okay, we're here to learn to love. We don't know how to love when we enter a relationship. We have no idea. We're like in the baby steps of learning how to truly love. And love isn't a feeling, and that's one of the other confusions. Love is a frequency. Love is a state of being. Love is a frequency that when we are aligned in our self, we tap into that cosmic unity, the universal mind, the universal soul. And love brings us into alignment with that. It's not just a feeling, it activates the feeling. Oh, there's potential with this person that we can come into that alignment together, that we can grow in love together. The honeymoon period is the possibility period. But love is a stern teacher. It will tear us to shreds. That's the job of love. So that we shed everything that's not true to who we are. To shed my ego. To shed the stories that take me out of alignment with love. And we help each other to do that when we're in relationship. Like in the Corinthians, I've always loved the Corinthians since I was a little girl. Love endures all things, right? And sometimes people can think, well, it endures all things, but that's foolish. But it's like, no, why does love endure all things? Why would love endure all things? Because love knows there's more. That reality is bigger, that love is bigger than the stories. That love is bigger than the dualities that we get caught in. So that's why love endures all things. We hold space when we are in a conscious relationship. We'll still have triggers, we'll still have meltdowns because that's what happens. We get poked in a new place like, oh my God, I didn't know where that came from, right? But when that point of entry of togetherness is about, we're going to grow together. We're committed to love no matter what. As long as there's no narcissism abuse going on, right? But there will be narcissistic moments in each of us. That's a part of how we survive trauma, right? We become more self-centered, we become more egotistical, we become more protective. So absolutely everybody has narcissistic tendencies and protective patterns. So to call somebody a pathological narcissist, that's a whole different equation. And I find a lot of relationships are ending because people are saying, well, he's just a narcissist. But they weren't a narcissist at all. They were just somebody caught in trauma patterns. They weren't malevolent. A malevolent narcissist is quite easy to identify. They don't self-reflect. They think that everybody else is the problem and they're not. And they're always the hero or the victim. Those are the simplest ways to identify a narcissist, or when we're getting caught in a narcissistic belief system, right? And that's when that point of entry, we have to remember, okay, if I want this dance of life, of my relationship to really flourish, I need to stand guard of my mind, I need to stand guard of my heart, I need to choose my point of entry in every moment. And the moments I mess up and I miss a point of entry in awareness, well then it's calling me to grow my awareness in that point. And so when we understand relationship in this way, when I understand it in this way now, what that does is now when we have triggers, and they can be pretty intense still, because the longer we're together, the more we're getting to the core of our vulnerability, right? And so we've weathered so many storms. And then, we understand that there's deeper cores because we are multi-layered beings. And if you look at us like a diamond, right? Say we've cleaned these faucets on the diamond, but ooh, these ones are still shadowy and dark, right? And so when we come into a relationship, our partner kind of shines the light on those ones. And then it calls it to be cleaned, calls it to be healed. And then again, both my husband and I use Ho'oponopono. And that's saved us so many times. So I want to invite you to explore what's your point of entry into the day when you wake up in the morning. What's your point of entry when you're engaging in conversation, when you engage your partner? What's your point of entry when you're thinking about money? What's your point of entry when you're thinking about world situations? What is that point of entry? And then to ask yourself, is this point of entry going to bring me into a movement that evolves me, that grows my inner knowing and presence and awareness, which then helps me see the fractal that I am in the bigger universe? Or is it narrowing me? Is it contracting and constricting me into emotions and beliefs that separate me from love? Because fear, anger, frustration, all of those things, they can't live when we're in love. And when we're in the frequency of love, not the romantic love, committed to that frequency of love, then those energies lose their power. And what I understand from my life has been learning the alchemy of transforming. When the fear comes in, recognizing it, sitting with it, acknowledging it. It's not about avoiding and pretending I don't feel what I feel. It's about giving presence to it so that it can transform, versus feeding it so it keeps growing. So that's one way that I've learned to navigate triggers in emotional, loving relationships, right? Where there's a deep connection, especially with my partner, but also with family. It applies there too. So my invitation is to do a little inner inventory there and explore, what does that mean? Like, how am I engaging even my own self, my own thinking? The point of entry for me is a masterful tool. And it guides me moment by moment by moment. And yeah, sometimes I slip up. We're human. We're not here to be perfect in the sense of like a robot. We're here because we're organic living beings, learning and trying out life and experiencing new things. And when there's new things, there's error, there's mistake. So it's none of it is about judging or making it right or wrong. It's just like looking at what is, and is what is helping me? Is it serving me? Is it serving my relationship? Am I contributing to the growth or the decay of love in my own self and relationship? Am I becoming bitter or am I becoming better? Because the thing is I'm just going to finish this in a second. When we become bitter, basically what that means, and I've been in a bitter place before, so I know this state very well. When I was in a bitter state, I was blaming everybody for my pain. I was blaming every man. Well, men are horrible, men are this, they have that. They don't care for my feelings, or they're not conscious, or God knows, all these things that, we say to deflect our own part. And it's not to say that things aren't true. Yeah, I had men abuse me. Yes, absolutely. But how were they able to abuse me? They were able to abuse me because I was already abusing myself inwardly, emotionally. I had judgments towards myself. I had low self-esteem. I didn't believe I was lovable. So how can I blame them for mirroring to me what I believed about me in the first place? And it doesn't make what they're doing right, but I'm using them as a mirror. I was in a narcissistic abusive relationship for 2 years. And what I discovered from that, and I lost myself. I was an empowered, amazing, young, strong woman before I met this person. But slowly, like a frog in, lukewarm water, the temperature was going up on the narcissistic gaslighting, and I didn't catch it. And then I was lost in myself. And then I started remembering, well, who was I before this? Where did I go? And that's when I started looking into inner child work. I was 23. And I started looking to the inner child, and I started realizing, oh my gosh, he's mirroring everything that I believe about myself. And so from that point, I started to build my strength. I started to doing I had stopped doing dancing in that period. I started doing dance again, going with my elder from New Mexico and my energy teacher from Berlin. And I built myself back up to the point where when he touched my Achilles tendon that he used to use to make me fall to my knees and feeling horrible and like I'm not lovable, he did that. another time, the last time. And I was at the point, I looked at him, I said, you know what? I said, you're right, I'm totally complicated. Totally complicated. And I love that about myself, I said to him. Oh man, did he ripped the roof down. We had a restaurant together in Berlin for 2 years. And I stood there, he went back in the kitchen, and I stood there and I went, gotcha. You don't have the power anymore. I had to heal myself enough so I could claim my power in myself, so I could see and say no more. So this is my invitation to do your inner work in your relationships. Don't, blame or shame your partners. And don't call people narcissists just because they have unconsciousness. But engage and say, hey, we both have unconscious patterns, because we do. Let's find a new path forward. Let's grow together. Let's put that effort. And if they say no, fine, well then you know that's not the right person for you. You move on. But for me, I always wanted to give my relationships that chance. And I would do everything in my power to come into alignment with me, so I can be 100% clear and 100% resolve whatever that dynamic is in me. So I'm leaving the relationship clean. I'm not leaving it with resentment. I'm not leaving it with anger. I'm not leaving it as a victim. I'm leaving it as, okay, this relationship had its beauty and it had this as well. And the beauty wasn't enough to let it continue. But I'm not going to, destroy the beauty that was. There were moments of sharing, caring, loving, laughter. And what we tend to do is we tend to just throw the whole thing away. And that's not serving us or life. It's not serving those moments where there was goodness. So in romantic relationships, coming home to self. My soul sovereignty is me. I'm the authority over me. My partner is the authority over him. Again, we meet at intersections of love and growth. And if we can't do that, we can't communicate, and we can't mutually support each other through our shadows, then we need to find a different relationship, and that's okay. And we can say, thank you for your time. Thank you. Yeah, I learned this much, and we realize we can't go further, and okay, God bless you. And then there doesn't have to be hatred and anger. So again, this went longer than I thought, but I don't think I have to do 2. Oh, I might do another part 2. There's a few other things I wanted to bring about this relationship. But so love is the superpower. We need to be vulnerable to love. And if we isolate ourselves with all of our protection and our fight or flight, the moment there's no more vulnerability there, it's death of the relationship, and even death of the relationship to myself. So I'm going to go more into vulnerability tomorrow. That's the theme for tomorrow. Okay? But anyways, this is long enough, and thank you guys for watching, and I'm really loving, I'm on fire here. I've got so much, it's like everything's pouring out, and I was awake all night till like 5:30 this morning with my mind and writing, oh yeah, that's a good idea, that's a good idea. So I can't wait to do the rest of the videos. And the rest of the videos I'm going to be touching into different triggers, like frustration triggers or sensory overload triggers, and different ways to navigate each different trigger. So that's what the next videos are going to be about. And tomorrow's going to be about vulnerability a little bit deeper. Okay, God bless, lots of love. Bye. Oh, and here's the view. Here we go. Somebody who watched the video said, hey, you didn't put the view like you did on the other videos. So here's the view. This is our beautiful cliff. This is where we usually have our jacuzzi, but it's in for repair. But it's a beautiful, beautiful view. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, signing off. God bless you guys. Lots of love. Bye.